Yes, I'll keep on living.
Now his life was literally flipped upside down when he became the youngest actor ever to land the role of Spider-Man.
But now Tom Holland is swapping web slinging for treasure hunting as he stars in the new action film Uncharted.
Oh, it is action-packed. We're very excited to be joined by Tom Holland in the studio now. Welcome to our home.
Thank you for having me. I've been a big fan of the show for a long time. So
Is
thanks.
that right?
Yeah, big fan of the show. I was just saying that we watch these compilations of iconic British TV moments at home, and you guys are always on it, so we're big fans.
I can only apologise. A lot can happen in a 2.5-hour show, which wasn't always planned. The movie is incredible. Congratulations. And this is an adaptation of the PlayStation game. So with this, you've already got, like, fans of that. So there's an expectation of what this movie is going to look like, particularly your character.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an added level of pressure. You know, this video game has sold 40 million copies around the world, so there is a die-hard fan base for this character and this game. So, you know, we just had to make sure we put in the work to develop the film in a way that is, you know, inspired by the game while also giving the fans something new. You know, we didn't want to just completely copy what had happened in the game series. We had, you know, support from Naughty Dog, which is the studio that makes the game. I had support from Nolan North, who is the actor who played the character, and then Neil Druckmann, who is, you know, one of the sort of biggest names in the game world. He was on our side. So we had a great support system for developing this film.
Yeah.
And did you start playing the game when you were shooting Spider-Man and then you actually pitched the role yourself? So you are responsible for this film?
Sort of, yeah. I was playing Uncharted 4 during the shooting of Spider-Man Homecoming, but I had actually pitched a origin story for James Bond. The idea was, which would be really fun, right? But essentially it was the idea that we would meet a kid who becomes James Bond, and of that idea came the idea of telling the story of Nathan Drake's first adventure. Because in the games you meet him and he's in his sort of late 30s, and in this film we meet him and he's in his early 20s. So it's sort of an origin story. So there is some truth to that
There is a link there. Yeah. And he's sort of taken under the wing by Sully, who's Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
And it's great, the two of them together, you two are great together now, but when you first met him, which seems surprising because you're such a huge star yourself, you still get nervous about meeting these actors and actresses. Yeah,
I mean, of course. I met him years and years ago on a TV show, and then I met him at his house and we sat down and we spoke about the idea of making this film, and, you know, he's one of the biggest stars in the business. You know, his body of work is so impressive. So for me as a young actor, I was just delighted to meet him, and then obviously over the moon to get the chance to work with him. And the sort of relationship between Nate and Sully is what makes this film so special. Our back and forth banter is so much of the heart and soul of the movie. So I was delighted to say that we didn't have to force that at all.
Always handy.
Forcing chemistry with people is really difficult. And we just got on, and we were good mates, and, you know, there's a good rivalry between the two of us, which was a lot of fun.
Were you rivalry when it comes to your gym workouts?
Sort of. I mean, the only luxury of the lockdown for me was that we went to set for the day one of shooting, and I realised that I looked like Mark's, like, 12-year-old son. Like, he's massive, right? He's so broad. There he is. Look at him.
Look at him. He looks like he's carved out of stone.
Oh, my goodness.
That is ridiculous.
Right.
So we went home. I had 5 months at home because we shut down for COVID, and all I did was eat and train every day. And when I came back to work, he did actually comment and was like, wow, you've put on some serious size. So I was actually really grateful for the break. But no, I can't keep up with him.
Were you just like that? Oh, look at
just
that.
literally like protein shakes all the time. It was a nightmare, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And a good job you were strong, because the stunts that you have to do, I mean, you're no stranger to that anyway with everything, and you have to do all sorts of stuff. But the opening scene, when you're doing the jumping from the plane thing, did that take 6 weeks to film?
It was about 6 weeks, yeah. It was, you know, every day, 6-day weeks, every single shot is in a harness. So there would be nothing where you'd be on your own 2 feet. You'd sort of finish the day's work and you'd feel like you'd been on a boat all day because you've been swinging, and yeah, there you go. But it was tough. It was really tough. You know, it was tough for all the right reasons. It's a very impressive sequence in the film. I haven't seen something quite like this in a very long time.
I loved it. You've said somewhere that actually playing Spider-Man, obviously you've got the mask on, so when you're doing all those tricks, you can't see your face sort of wincing as you jump into things. Not in this.
No, my stunt doubles would come up to me and be like, Tom, that was great, but less face, mate.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be sort of coming into land and I'm like, So they, you know, Nathan Drake's supposed to be cool and collected, and Tom Holland is not.
You were in a lot of pain, though, weren't you?
Yeah, loads.
All these stunts, most of them you do yourself.
Well, I can't take full credit. You know, I have two fantastic stunt doubles that do a lot of the heavy lifting, but, you know, I do everything I can.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're in the harnesses, especially when you're delivering dialogue, it's really difficult to sound normal because normally you're like, yeah, I really just want to come down from here. So it can be tough, but we have a great team of people that we work with that make it as easy as it can be.
Yeah. Well, that movie is out on the 11th of February. We can't have you here and not talk about Spider-Man. And congratulations, because I think it was the highest-grossing film of 2021, which is extraordinary.
Thank you.
Well done, you. I'm going to say something that it's probably a bit of a spoiler if people haven't seen it, so I'm just giving you a little warning here, because there is something that happens in the movie which brings 3 people together for the very first time. I'm going to let you spoil it for everyone.
Sure. I mean, it's actually quite nice to say this. I've done a whole press tour where I wasn't allowed to talk about it, but the idea of our film is that we are exploring the multiverse, and through that exploration, we are able to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So you finally have the 3 Spider-Mans sharing the screen. And if you haven't seen it, you've probably been living under a rock.
Exactly.
So I'm sure that's out there somewhere. But it was a lot of fun for me. You know, playing Spider-Man is an interesting experience. It can be quite alienating. You know, there's only 3 of us that have ever done it. So to have that sort of brotherhood between the 3 of us and to share the screen and share that moment together was very special.
I bet it was.
Now, there's a lot of speculation that this could be your last Spider-Man. Can you tell us anything?
I mean, it could be, but the first one could have been my last one, I guess.
That's very...
You know?
I think you're right.
But, you know, for me, I have absolutely loved every minute of playing Spider-Man. It's been a real dream come true. I mean,
I don't think, as a fan of the Spider-Man movies, I don't think we're done with you yet.
Well, that's lovely to hear. Thank you.
Do a few more.
But if it's, you know, if it's time to give the next lucky kid an opportunity to do it, I would step down proudly. I've done everything I've wanted to do.
You're very nice. I have to say this because, I mean, we're both big fans of yours anyway, and you strike me as somebody that's a young person who's at the top of their field but really has their head screwed on.
Thank you.
And there's not many of you out there. Not many of you have survived it, and I just wonder how you do that.
I just have a great network of friends and family. You know, my friends from home are all my friends from when I was a kid. You know, my family are the first people to tell me if I'm having a moment of, I guess, movie stardom. And, you know, they just keep me grounded. And also, I don't really want to change, you know. I like my mates, and they wouldn't like me if I would behave like some of the people from Hollywood, I guess.
Yeah.
I hope you don't find this weird, but when I can't sleep at night, I watch interviews.
Oh, really?
With you and Zendaya. And do you know what? And when Zendaya said, they said, oh, how did you get out of the friend zone? And she said, well, you know what? You can just recognise kindness. And he's so kind. And I was like, oh,
that's lovely.
Sorry, I hope you don't think I'm too weird.
No, not at all. That's fantastic. Thank you.
She doesn't know what to say.
Sorry about that.
It's so nice to meet you, and best of luck with the movies. And look, tonight you can watch yourself interviewing him back.
Yeah, brilliant. We've just taken it to a whole new level now.
Oh, it's just so sweet.
Thank you. Best of luck. As we said, Uncharted, the 11th of February, and thank you.
Thank you, guys.
very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.